What's up, Internet? This is Rambling Josh, and you're watching another episode of Let's Play Fire Emblem. Today, Chapter 3, Band of Mercenaries. So, where are we headed now? West. Didn't we just start heading east? Wow, that's a long way away. Long. Why would you go through those mountains specifically? It looks like there's a lot of open plain between where we are and Kaylin. The Taliver bandits? Okay then. Who's that? Well, we'll probably find out soon. What's going on in here? This place looks kind of run down. It's a good question. Oh, this is the Taliver that took out the Lorca, huh? Well, I guess it's a good thing we're gonna kill him then. Well, at least she's motivated. Yeah, sure. Who is that? Hmm? Well, that's unfortunate. Save the Pegasus. Ilya, huh? No, you can't. Could it be? Wait, how do you know Florina? That's interesting. Now, Florina is one of the characters who, the way they interact with your character, the tactician, actually changes a little bit. Sane is too, actually. Sane will actually, like, flirt with you a little bit if you're a female tactician. And Florina, I guess you probably haven't really seen it here yet, but... Okay, yeah, she's a little uncomfortable around men. So if you have a male tactician, Florina will be a little bit hesitant to talk to you. How do you know each other? Ah. Well, they're bandits. I don't know what you expected. Well, okay then. I guess force it is. That's a lot of bandits. Yes! Alright. Hello. Okay, so this mission introduces actually a fair amount of things. For one, we have an armory here, where we can buy weapons. Because I mentioned previously that weapons have durability. That's not quite what I had planned, but whatever. I need to come to this village eventually anyways. Because something interesting happens if we come to the village. I'm sorry, I just had to let the song play for a little bit. Because it's an amazing song. I believe it's called Together We Ride. But yeah, anyways, so we meet this fellow if we go to the village, which I guess we're forced to do in this mode. But if you're playing on hard mode and you don't get forced to go to this village, you can actually leave it be, and this guy will come out on his own on the third turn and join you automatically. So it's basically impossible to not get this character. And he's an archer, which I'll talk a little bit about in a moment. So I was mentioning previously how weapons have durability. I mentioned this in, I think, the first episode. But because your weapons can break, because our Iron Sword is at 22 out of 46, well, it can break. So if we go to the armory, we can buy new ones. Is there a way to find out how much gold we have? I don't think there is just from this menu. Maybe... No, I don't really know of a good way. But anyways, there's also these villages, which are the villages that have a red roof. You can visit them and they will actually... You'll usually get something good to get from going to that village. So it's a noble goal. Oh, I guess I have to choose Will. So the interesting thing about archers is, unsurprisingly, they have an attack range of 2. So if you look at the red squares here, that attack range extends out by 2. And what's interesting about them is their attack range is exactly 2. They can't hit an enemy directly in front of them. And you can see that by the red squares here. And this comes with both an advantage and a disadvantage. If you're initiating the attack against a melee unit such as this mercenary, you're out of that range. You're out of their range. So they can't attack you back. But also, if that melee character were to come into your range and attack you, you couldn't hit them back either. However, if your archer was attacking another archer, they could counterattack each other. And then we have Florina, who is a flying unit, so she can go right over these walls. Now, the important thing to note about Florina is that she's very fragile. I have plans to use her long term because she can be extremely powerful, but at this point in the game she's only level 1 and she's very, very, very flimsy. So you have to be very careful using her, for a few reasons. For one, she uses spears, and in the early stages of the game, you basically face mostly enemies with axes. So that's something you have to be very careful about, because you have to be very selective about where you send her, so that you don't just get slaughtered by an axe user. So taking on these mercenaries who have swords is a good idea. She is very fast, so she can pretty much always attack twice, and she has a decent avoidance chance. Let's actually compare. She has 25 avoid compared to Lynn, who has 40. So I guess 25 isn't that good. Avoidance is, let's see, Lynn has 12 speed and 6 luck, whereas Florina has 9 speed and 7 luck. Considering those stats, it's a little strange that Florina's avoidance is so much lower than Lynn's. Well, whatever. And obviously, flying units can fly right over things. So now, Sane, I'm gonna grab him and head up to this archer, and I choose to go to this position rather than this one, because it cuts off this unit's path of attack a little bit. So he has, I think, probably 5 movement? Yeah. So if I attack Sane, he can basically then move anywhere in this area and basically shoot whoever he wants. Specifically, he could shoot Will. Whereas if I put Sane here, the archer has to go around him to get to anyone else. And considering the enemy's pathing is something that's very important to keep in mind in this game. I wanted to spear against this guy. Each weapon has its own proficiency level that increases the more you use that specific weapon. And there's so many axe users in the early game that's typically best to use spears as often as you can. Although his spear sword mastery is lower than a spear. And bows are actually not part of the weapon triangle. However, that doesn't mean that bows aren't useful. Oh, well, Florina's going to tell me exactly what I was going to say anyways. So, being flying units, Pegasus Knights are actually extremely weak against enemy archers. So you want to keep Florina, basically for the entire game, as far as possible, well, reasonably possible, away from bow attacks. Did that say they always do critical damage? Well, whatever the case, they do a ton of damage against Pegasus Knights. Which just adds to the whole, you have to be very careful about where you send Florina thing. So, 2,000 gold. Little tutorial on durability here. And being mounted, Florina can now move from her where she left off. So I'd like to take on this mercenary with her, but I want to be careful about this bandit. Now, one way to kind of compare how you're going to do without actually looking at the pre-attack little stat box there is by looking at his stats. So he has an attack of 12. And Florina has a defense of 4, so he will do 8 damage. Which isn't obscenely high. But there's also other enemies in the area. So let's see here. This guy can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put Florina up here. That should put me in range of the mercenary, who has a spear, or who has a sword, which I have an advantage against, but out of range of this bandit. And being flying, Florina can just move over here if she runs into trouble. Move Lynn up, and let's move Sane up a little bit. Let's actually not put him up here, because in these 3 squares here, that archer can hit him from the other side of the wall. So I'm just going to move him up here and equip his sword, because the bandit to his right, this guy, is probably going to attack him next turn. Now, I'm not going to use Will. You may recall that I mentioned in a previous episode how you want to be very selective about which characters you use and which you don't, to try and give all your experience to the characters you are going to use. And also, you want to try and diversify which characters you're using a little bit by words. You want to try not to have more than one of the same type of character. That's what I was trying to say. And in this case, Will... There's a couple of archers you can choose from in the game. There's one now, obviously, Will. And I guess there's technically 2 archers, although one's technically a nomad, that you can take later. And basically, the choice is between Will and another archer, who you get a bit later on. And which one you end up choosing is basically down to preference, but I prefer to use the other one. So I'm not going to be using Will, but if you do choose to use Will, that's perfectly fine. Like I said, it's basically down to preference, so there's not a real big advantage one way or the other. And honestly, if you are not especially familiar with the game, then it's probably better to go with Will, just because he's available so much earlier on in the game. Because that's really a big advantage, because the more you can use a character, the more you can level up, and all that stuff. And having another character, especially a ranged one, at this early stage of the game can actually be very helpful. Now, let's see here. Oh, wait, he's gonna do 9 damage with his axe? Why is that? 4 defense. 12 attack. That's kind of weird. Well, whatever. Let's actually move here and see. 0 crit chance, so she should be safe to take out this guy. So even in the worst case scenario, this bandit can't kill Florina. And even though it's risky, I think it's still worthwhile to continue using Florina here because it's really important to get her as much experience as possible. So she's not going to kill this guy because she doesn't have amazing strength, and bandits are usually pretty, I don't know what you'd call it. They're pretty resilient. They have a lot of health. But I got the kill and got a little experience from that guy. Does she come with a vulnerary? Oh, I guess it's a little late now. Let's see here. I want Lynn to go to the armory. And... Sane... Yeah, he's equipped with a sword, so he's all good. Wait for those guys to come to me. And I have the sword advantage. Sane's actually pretty beastly already. He's got a lot of defense, although his health is starting to wear down a little bit. But he's got 8 defense now, so he's not taking a whole lot of damage from any attacks. This guy has only 9 attacks, so he can barely even touch Sane. So finish this guy off. And actually... Oh, why can't he move again? That's weird. But anyways, I want Lynn to visit this armory. And I want to buy her another iron sword, because her current one is getting kind of low on durability. And I do have the Manicotti, but I want to kind of save that a little bit for situations where I need it. What I will say is that you shouldn't worry too much about it breaking, but you do want to use it where it's going to be the most useful, I guess you would say. So yeah, he did 1 damage to Sane, which is nothing. Now, let's plan this out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Lynn, she can't reach this bandit no matter what. How about this? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Florina's gonna fly up here and stab this mercenary in the face. So he's dead. But then this introduces the problem that she's kind of out in the open, and not this bandit up here, because he's immobile, but this guy can just come down and attack her, and he will probably kill her. And I'm pretty sure even if I were to sit here, he would still be able to reach her. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. The force might reduce his ability to move through it a little bit, but regardless, he's probably going to be able to reach Florina. But luckily we have this option, the rescue option. Basically, that allows you to pick up another unit. So that's exactly what we did. So Florina is no longer out in the open. However, carrying that unit reduces your skill and speed fairly substantially. I think it cuts them right in half, actually. So that's something to be careful about. And let's actually put Lynn out in the front here. So it's good to use rescue in a pinch to kind of get a character out of trouble, such as Florina. Now, the thing about rescue is you can't actually pick up everyone. Cavaliers can pretty much pick up anyone, but it's determined by your constitution and your aid. So your aid is... it determines how heavy a character you can pick up. So being mounted, Sane has a really high aid stat. He can pick up pretty much anyone, but Lynn can only has 4, so she can't pick up many people at all. and that's comparing against someone else's constitution. So Will has an 8 of 5, and Lynn has an constitution of 5, so I'm pretty sure Will could pick up Lynn. He could pick up Florina. He couldn't pick up Saint. Constitution has another effect as well, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. So you can't pick up everyone, but it can be very handy when you do pick someone up. I can just walk through this village? That's interesting. So, approaching this boss character here. I would like Florina to get the kill. She can do 3 damage. She can technically do 6, but I don't want to count on her second attack because there's a chance that she will die in between there. Of course, I could just use a vulnerary on her, but I'm pretty sure this guy's actually doing 15 in return, so it wouldn't make any difference. So let's see here. Wow, Saint can actually hit this guy twice. I'm probably going to explain how double attacks work in the next mission. The question now is, do I want Saint to get the kill, or do I want Lynn? Probably Lynn. So, let's go with Saint up here. I am in fact using my sword, because you are a bandit, and you are using an axe, and I have a sword advantage against you. Even just attacking, bosses usually give a pretty good amount of experience just for attacking, like I said. This guy's level 6. Bosses being a high level, that's why they usually give good experience. Indeed. Oh, these aren't the Talifer bandits? Somehow I don't believe you. Well, they did say not to harm any of the women. That's very nice of you. And he's dead. It's always funny how these bosses make this big play. They always have these big, grandiose, speeches about how awesome they are and how much you're gonna die, and then they usually just die like nothing. It's kind of funny. The Ganelon bandits, huh? Level up. Wow, more strength again. Jeez. There have been times where I played through Lynn's entire mode and she hasn't gotten 8 strength. Oh, okay. Well, she is a lot more flimsy than Lynn. That's a good point. Well, if you come with us, then it's at least 40% females. It could be a lot worse than that. I guess Will never said he was actually going to come with us. Actually, one thing I should note on the matter of archers is that even though I suggested you usually don't want to have more than one archer, or more than one of a specific type of unit, using both Will and the other archer that I was mentioning earlier is actually a pretty reasonable choice. They actually synergize together very well. But anyways, moving on with the plot here. Somehow I feel like Saint just wants her around because he likes pretty ladies. We could use a Pegasus Knight. Eek. Count on Cat? I'm not sure why that would be. I mean, if you want to come with us, I'm not sure why you would want to. Oh, well, okay then. Yay, we're all one big happy family now. Well, apparently we have a legion now. But anyways, that's about it for today. Oh, and let's play Fire Emblem. Catch you later.